All right, welcome back, everybody. I guess we'll try to get straight to it today instead of a normal intro. You know what this is about. This is the second part, picking up our discussion about uh, our beliefs and how they impact our behavior and how they're the key to regulating ourselves, our emotional state, and helping us feel more in control of ourselves. Uh, so we covered some of the basics about the science of this, the way that it might feel to some people, this gut feeling that we have, the way that we think in a black box, and we have those all talked about. But what we haven't talked about yet is what do we do about it? How do we fix it? Because we have beliefs. I have things that I believe that I was told as a child that I've had to face years and years and years later. I've had friends probably who have had even more abusive childhoods than I have, which I mean that's crazy. But they have people develop we develop these beliefs about ourselves, and if we want to do anything about that, we have to understand those beliefs. We have to dig deep within ourselves, understand what our beliefs are. We have to convince ourselves of new beliefs. Sometimes that can be a challenge, and how do we do that? Um, so let's take a look at a few examples of what I'm talking about, because that might be an easier way to talk about these beliefs than other ways. Um, for example, let's consider let's consider how many people get told that they are overreacting. This is a belief that people develop from their childhood because when they have an emotional state as a child, rather than having a compassionate response from an adult in their life or somebody that could actually help them deal with all of that, a lot of children get told things like, oh, you're overreacting, or oh, it doesn't hurt, or um, uh, I'm not gonna, or even like I'm not gonna listen to you until you calm down, which still gives you that subtle you're overreacting, you're out of line, you're out of control. And so what happens with these, a belief like this, is that it gets in our mind and we learn that no matter what, we're in the upset. If we're upset about something, we're wrong. That's a terrible belief to have. But so many of us have had this belief. Um, Kind of instilled in us against our will. And so somebody with this kind of a belief, whenever they're upset, they're going to be more likely to back down in conflict. They're going to be less likely to stand up for themselves. They're going to be less likely to even think that there's a resolution that can fit them. Or they're going to be willing to sacrifice because they made the mistake of even getting upset. And so a belief like this is really dangerous. And this is one of the dangers of being abused because this is emotional abuse. To do this to people, to tell them that they're overreacting. This is a very common thing we hear called gaslighting a lot. You're convincing somebody that what they're experiencing isn't real. And so you are challenging their core beliefs. They think they're upset because something made them believe maybe they were treated unjustly or something was unfair or whatever it is. They had that belief until somebody comes along and punishes them for that belief. And if you get punished enough, you'll take on new beliefs because it's easier to have that new belief than it is to get punished for having the old belief in a lot of cases. Excuse me. And so that's the danger of these kinds of belief. There are all kinds of them that are common. Maybe we'll go over a few other, try to see if we can't give an example of this to other people. People that have self-defeating tendencies. Um, they're the kind of people that have maybe never been encouraged in life, or they've always been told everything they do is a failure or to an unbalanced, unhealthy degree. And so this might cause somebody to take on a belief that I'm incapable, or maybe I'm unworthy. I don't deserve that good thing. Or I'm not capable of doing what it takes to get that. Or I'm not I'm not the kind of person that could save up for a thing. Or any any of these beliefs becomes self-defeating because you're assigning a state to yourself for your mind to make decisions about. And this little black box in your mind looks at these things and goes, oh, well, I'm not worthy of that. So I shouldn't put any effort into that and I'll just stay lazy and unmotivated. And this is the problem. Um, and these kind of thoughts, um, and then there's other thoughts that are unhealthy for other reasons. There are people that grow up and nobody ever really tells them that anything that they do is wrong. Like I guess you would see this like entitlement, right? Like this is kind of what we're talking about, Karens, and they have this belief that everything in the world is about them. This belief that no matter what happens, it's supposed to go my way, it's supposed to work in my favor, and that's the only outcome that they may have ever known their entire life. Because they may have been rich enough and parents weren't around because they were not around, or you got raised by a nanny and the nanny don't care like your parents do. They're not going to teach you right from. I don't give a shit. They're making sure you're not getting killed. Nannies don't care. I'm sure that's not true. If you're a nanny that cares about your children, you do exist, but that's not normal. Most people are getting paid to put up with insufferable little rich kids. That's how a lot of that world works. It's frightening. And so these spoiled little rich kids are used to getting their way. They're used to blackmailing their nannies. They're used to like getting their teachers in trouble because they have more money than a teacher can ever defend themselves against. And you've got parents that are rich enough to push the issue, and children never learn consequences. And so they have this belief that they are more important than everybody else. And that's very real to them in their mind. And their decisions just automatically get made. It's not like Karen goes, oh, I'm going to rage out and be mad at that person. It's literally, you did the thing that is mine. You took my spot, or you took my car, or you bought the last item off the shelf that was for me. Whatever it is, they have this belief that they're above it all, that they think they're more than everybody else. And so all their decision making comes out of this. And then when something challenges that, they defend themselves. The part of the brain that's defending their decision making digs in harder and harder and harder. The more direct you are confronting their belief and challenging the decision that their mind is trying to defend, the more that act the this is back going back to some of the studies, we can measure that this part of the brain that does defend itself actually will increase in activity as somebody rages out defending whatever their bad horrible decision was. And we see this happening with wrong people all the time. You argue with people that you even know that they're wrong, but they're embarrassed. They're defending themselves. They're putting on a show. They're putting on that they need to be seen as strong and able to fight this, or they've got some other belief then causing this to continually perpetuate, to keep going. And and uh and so this is the power of beliefs, because without these beliefs we don't behave in these ways. Without without a belief that somebody is superior, they don't act entitled. Without a belief that you're unworthy, you don't sit at home giving up on anything that could make your situation better. Um, and you know what? I love edging the conspiracy theories out there. Consider this. Consider that these beliefs that do these things that cause us to either be deranged or misbehave or don't take care of ourselves or do things other. How many of these messages are you fed through marketing and advertising? How many of these messages are you fed from your neighbors and peers? A real man would wear this kind of clothing, or a real woman would have a body that looks like this, or these are beliefs that somebody is trying to force on you. This is not conspiracy theory. I don't know that that's directly subliminal messaging, but it's an offshoot or tangential to that. Consider this psychology. You want to think that all these studies are done for medical reasons? Well, okay. Drug companies do lots of medical studies on mental illness, but they do it because of pills. If you want to know where the research is at on how the mind works, there are two places that you go to get it, because mental health is not where the money is at in studying psychology. We don't make money by studying mentally ill people. The truth of the matter is a sad proportion of this world looks at mentally ill people as people that are in our way, a drain on resources. And really they belong in the gutter. That's the view some people have. That's a terrible belief too. But but we have these beliefs that are fed to us, that are marketed to us, because if I believe the only way I can be a whole person is to go buy that car, or the only way to be a whole person is to buy that diet supplement so that my body's in shape, or to color my hair so that I don't look old, or whatever, like, you see how manipulative and slimy all of this starts getting when you start seeing that this is all about image and identity beliefs that is marketed to us. Well, the same thing happens with our friends and family. Not everybody realizes they're doing it. A lot of abuse is very subtle, we're used to it. Frankly, we're used to our bosses trying to abuse us into working extra hours for free, or getting us to give up our weekends, or to accept that we shouldn't be mad that there are no bonuses this year. Whatever it is, we're always being told to just eat this one more thing, just bend over and take this one last thing up the ass. Like, it's and we're inundated with this. And I'm not convinced that I'm not gonna, like, it's not a conspiracy in the sense that everybody's organized trying to get us all to do the same thing. But again, common interests, they diverge. Well, not diverge, but they converge. So if your interest is to break down my identity so that I need to be a consumer to feel good about myself, well, then you're in common goals with beauty products and all these other products that, like, whatever, like, your messages are going to start looking similar because you're all trying to do the same thing: make me part with my cash. That's it. That's all you want. And so if you can alter my beliefs, if you can belittle me, and this is how politics works too. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, you face this. You face this. Like, if you're a liberal, you have to face the you're not a great American because you don't support Make America Great Again. That's intentional. A slogan like that is very, very, very deliberate because it challenges your patriotism beliefs. You think you're a patriot. You think you love your country. And so it hurts to not think that you want to be a part of making America great again, if that's what you want. And the same is true from the other side. The liberals say all kinds of things, like, they try to be dismissive of issues that are important to religious groups, for example, trying to convince religious groups that their beliefs are wrong. Well, why are we arguing about it there anyway? We have plenty of belittling from the left going on to the right. There's a lot of intelligence smearing right now. Like, liberals tend to say things. Well, the smart opinion is obvious this, or it's an uneducated opinion to not believe in climate change, or you must not understand or believe in science if you don't. So now you're challenging somebody's intelligence, and this is one of the reasons that the Democratic Party gets so much, I don't know, flack over being elitist, right? Because literally their messaging is you're stupid, and the conservative message, or the Republican message, is we want to make America great again. How can you disagree with that message? Either one's coercive. It doesn't really matter. You're trying to get people to do things for reasons that aren't well thought out, that aren't constructive. It's based on trying to implant these weird beliefs in our minds, and trying to get us to submit to what they've then brainwashed us to believe. And if you're wondering, I'm probably liberal as far as what I believe, but I do not support the American Democratic Party. Like, literally, like, God, anyway. I'm not here for politics. I'm here for the psychology of it. I'm here for pointing out the understanding of why this stuff has such power on us. And then, as we talked about earlier, you can see where once I have a belief and I'm adhering to that belief, my decision is likely made unconsciously because of that belief. But then I need to defend it. And we see this huge problem in politics right now. Everybody just has this defense part of their mind so on fire that we can't get along anymore. We're too busy feeling challenged. We're too busy that, thinking our entire identity is being voided by somebody. And of course that's going to fire us up. Well, how do you change that? Well, change your beliefs. Understand that I'm not a hater of America because I don't support making America great again or MAGA. I'm not that doesn't say anything about my patriotism. But I have to intentionally safeguard that belief that just because I don't agree with what they do under that slogan, that doesn't make me not a patriot. And just because I don't, uh, just because I don't, well, I do believe in climate change. It's very obvious to anybody with any bit of awareness looking out there. If you want to know, it's out there. The truth is out there. The truth is always out there. But do you believe you're smart enough to go find it? Do you believe you're skilled enough to go get the truth? Do you think you could find it? Or are you just going to go click and agree with whatever the first thing is that feels good? Because that's a big problem we have today is people only want to click on that which makes them feel good. Um, and I'm kind of more in the I've been thinking about myself and working on self-help concepts like this for long enough that I'm comfortable with this kind of discomfort. I'm also very comfortable with intellectual discomfort. I like opposing views. I like opposing ideas. I don't really tolerate people that don't understand manners for debate. That bothers me. Like if you get impassioned and you just want to, like if you're yelling or something like that, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you want to get into name calling. If you want to call me a stupid son of a bitch because you don't like my argument, what's the point? We're not exchanging ideas anymore. You're just telling me your opinion of me, and there's no discussing that. It's your opinion of me and whatever. That's fine, and it's just not very productive as far as debate and exchanging ideas. And and that's another thing, right? Like if you want to debate people and you want to come across as that person that can debate, well, what do you believe that's keeping you from that? Well, I can't get calm when I think about that, or that subject is too enraging, or I don't know enough about that subject, or I'll feel stupid if I talk about that, or whatever. Well, we have all of these things that keep us from engaging in these things, or that cause us to even get defensive to avoid engaging in them. And I think that's why there's so much name calling, so much just open rage, because I think that people don't believe that they have the skill sets. They don't know. I think a lot of people don't know what to believe in the modern day. Misinformation is a fucking bananas problem. But the truth is out there. And what are you going to do about that? And what do you have time for? Like, let's be honest, we're in today's world. I'm I'm as informed as I can be, I think, but like I don't have 4 hours a day to find out all of the lies going on in politics. I don't have hours and hours and hours all day, every day to know the truth. And we don't have sources we can trust anymore. And the only way to do it is to go and look it up yourself or be uninformed. It is wild. But what are you going to do with information like that? Is that going to make you believe that you're helpless to do anything? Or is it going to make you believe what I told you, which is the information is out there and the answers and the truth are out there and you can find the truth, whatever side you're on? I think the truth is both sides are just there to enrich themselves. That's what I think is going on. That's why I think there's not really that much fighting between the parties right now. They're not like there's the normal bickering shit, but like it's crazy what's going go look. Don't take it from me. I don't really want to talk about like the politics. It's just wild to me what's going on. It's wild. I mean, the entire order of world power is shifting right now. Right, wrong, or indifferent, whether it's better or worse for us, time will tell. I don't know, but there is massive shifting, and I guess that leads to the other thing. What do we do with that? Like, we have the belief that if we have a belief that the world's fine and we're ignoring all of what's going on and we go on about our life, that's fine. That makes it easier to go on. We probably, people like that probably sleep better. But what do you miss out because of that willful state? Whenever somebody tells you something that's going on in the world that's unbelievable, you might just dismiss that out of hand rather than go, wait a minute, maybe I should care about that. Um, and I'm not going to tell you what two and two care about, but there's genocide and war going on out there. There is, I think there's some really bad energy policies going on that I think climate change is real. And but here's the other thing. I don't agree with the alarmist attitude over it because the truth of the matter is the planet's gonna be just fine. It's going nowhere. Venus is doing just fine as far as it's concerned. Mars is doing just fine as far as it's concerned. You know who this matters for? You know what we're really killing? Fuck the planet. It's not about the planet. The planet's gonna be just fine. If it wants to repopulate after we're gone, there are gonna be microbes that survive just about anything we do to this. Something's gonna survive somewhere. Microbes. There are microbes that survive in boiling water and no atmosphere. We're not. Life isn't going anywhere. We are. We might be. It might get out of our climate. We might not be able to engineer our way out of this one at this point. I don't know. It might. We might be on a runaway track. I I don't know what the truth is. But I don't think having this alarmist, we're destroying the planet. Well, first off, that's a fucking lie. I like beliefs, I like truth first, and we're not killing the planet. We're killing us. We're killing anything that needs the current environment to exist. We are killing species in locations where the climate has already changed so much. Species are moving. Species that used to live like on the equator or very close to the equator in the water alone are now, there are species that never traveled above the Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn. The tropic lines, the above and below, like I want to say it's like 10 degrees above and below the equator. It might be 30. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's a number of degrees above and below the equator. There are species that used to live only within that window that are now living in about a time and a half the window they used to live in. So they're coming outside of that significantly more than we've ever detected them before. And it's because the waters are becoming so warm that they can move. The waters in Florida are becoming so warm, coral reefs are receding. Um, it's crazy. And when coral reefs recede, all the fish that use them as habitat, all the sea anemone, all the various kinds of vegetations that are dependent on these become real problems. We are losing ecosystems. It's happening. Um, and that's terribly disturbing and sad to me. We are just destroying life as though it doesn't matter. And the truth is, I think a lot of us feel that way, and I don't really know what to do about that either. But but what we do about these kinds of things is still comes back to our beliefs. Because my belief is not that we're killing the planet. The planet's gonna be fine. I don't know. I got that from George Carlin. That was kind of a George Carlin original idea, as far as I know. Maybe somebody else gave it to him. But the planet's gonna be fine. It's us. It's us, and the other people that were us before we got here. The things, all the little things that we transformed through to get here, our lineage, all of that may die. We may end up back down at super simple microbial life again um, because we can't control our excesses. Um, and this, I guess the thing is that what would have happened if a message like what I'm talking about now would have gotten out and been popularized? What if these ideas were more mainstream before climate change hit? What if we had more people aware that our mind works this way? What if we had more people responsibly helping people construct beliefs rather than this consumption marketing thing that we do? What if what if we didn't subject ourselves to marketing? I don't know. I don't know how you'd avoid that in this day and age. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, literally, I'm sure you had to get through an ad to get to me. Like, and I guess that's a question I have for myself. Like, going forward on YouTube, like, do I want to be a part of that? Because if I do this and I start taking money from advertising dollars, isn't that exactly what I'm bitching about right now? Um, And it isn't to say that selling things is inherently bad or whatever. It's just the way that they market the beliefs to us, the way that we have all these, I don't know, we have all these weird problems that I think a lot of it goes back to marketing. We have people deeply unhappy because they can't have perfect body. Even responsible people with like normal human bodies that um like are just like, you can be in the ideal weight range and not have, the TV underweight body or whatever it is, a man can, like, I could be at my ideal 180 weight and I'm still not going to look like somebody who's 220 and jacked. That's my height. Like, I'm just not. And not everybody's going to look like they're, just jacked out and roided out. Not everybody wants to destroy their body with, the steroids that you need to get there. Not everybody has 4 hours a day to spend in the gym. Sometimes it takes to get these. I mean, these are like power lifters. This is like a fucking professional career that you see like in these advertisements. And you're supposed to, and they do it trying to get your mind to see yourself as inferior because you aren't that. And that's cruelty. That's just cruelty. Like, and it's just irresponsible that we treat each other that way. Um, and well, anyway, I guess there's a few things that we talked about how beliefs get formed, but it's so much trickier to try to rebuild your beliefs because you have to take all these things that were told to you that you were convinced of. You have to choose to believe something different, and then you have to get that defense of your decision thing to let go just enough so that you can actually take on the belief, so that then it'll be in your little black box the next time you need it. And so, while I'm a little bit disappointed how we got here, I think there is the useful information. How to rebuild beliefs is tough because we see it on, like, some people. Well, anyway, let's talk about a few ways that people do use it real quick because I don't want to leave it disappointing, because I do think it's important to understand how our beliefs are being formed through authority, through advertising, through these various things that we're told, and we develop those beliefs. But what do we do to develop our own beliefs? Well, I don't know. Like, a lot of people like affirmations. Like, I've never been one to, I don't know. Affirmations just seemed like a repetitive thing, and if that works for you, great. It's not one that worked real well for me. I'm more of a researcher. If I have something that I feel like I reacted to, or I made a decision that I don't feel like my reasons for making it were good enough, that's where I usually get into research. I look for truth, and truth is a very good way. Like, it's how I get into changing my beliefs. Um, I think that there's something to like if you look at a lot throughout history, a lot of like religious practice uses like rhythm and chanting. It's another way that you can have repetition, but you also get the invocation of feeling to go with that. And so if you have uh, something that makes you feel strongly, um, there's other science that shows that the portion of our brain that gets into emotion is more closely tied to our memory than other portions of the brain. Like our reasoning section isn't as closely tied to memory as our feelings are, and so this is one of the reasons that I think we can get a lot more of the feelings that we had when we like are recalling memories. The feelings can matter a lot in that, and so I think that that's one of the ways where using things like emotionally invoking music can work. Like, I think you see this a lot too. Like, when you see like videos with affirmations, it'll have like music that just kind of gets your mind in a rolling flux. And what's interesting about this is a lot of times these techniques, and I'll mention another technique here in a second, meditation, that can help with some of this, is that these techniques, whether it's trance-like states through like music or chanting, or it's through disciplined mind control like meditation, there is evidence that these actually alter our brain state. And one of the things that's interesting is that people who meditate specifically, it can be shown that most people, after a time of meditation, can develop a way to get their mind. I want to say they put it into a theta wave state. But what's interesting about this is I believe that state is the same state that we end up in when we're hypnotized. And so by meditating, we become suggestible. We actually shut down some of these defenses, and we can actually accept an idea more readily. That's how hypnosis works, is it puts you in such a relaxed state that active, engaged, untrusting parts of your mind are actually lulled into inactivity. And then while those parts of the brains are inactive because we're in these theta or beta states of our mind, there's a bunch of different mind states, and some are more suggestible than others. Um, when we get into these states and we have these suggestion mains, we're more likely to take them on. This actually works really well with some things like smoking. There's been a lot with this, which is interesting because smoking is nicotine is one of the most addictive substances that we know of. And there's something about hypnosis that works particularly well in dealing with smoking, because most people that smoke have these weird conflicting beliefs. They know it's unhealthy and it's going to kill them, but they also don't believe that they can function and deal with the world without them, right? Because you stress out a smoker, what's the first thing they do? They go out for a smoke. And they have this belief that they can't manage without it. And this is where hypnosis gets into things like visualizing a hard situation without resorting to smoking, finding another way to deal with that, finding another way to curb some of these feelings. And so hypnosis works in those kinds of things because you have some beliefs that are on your side already. If you can just alter the beliefs that are against you, you suddenly have a mind that starts working in unison and doesn't want the cigarettes at all anymore. And that can be really powerful. But we can kind of do the same thing with meditation if you can take the time. Now, I also want to be clear. I've read that there are risks to meditation. I don't know, maybe up to 5 or 10% of people can actually, like, I guess, experience some kind of negative psychotic reaction or negative mind reaction. Yeah, like it's. I don't know. That wasn't my experience. It probably wouldn't have dissuaded me from getting into meditation. But I don't want to be irresponsible and say that meditation is a zero risk way to work on yourself, because that's not what the research seems to be showing. But if I had something that 90 to 95% of the time was had zero risk, and the risks of doing it are likely in the range of increased anxiety, depression, hopelessness, fear. Like, some of those things are reported side effects of people who have negative outcomes with meditation. I had all those things before meditation. I didn't see how it could get worse. So even had I known that back when I got into it, it probably wouldn't stop me. But you've got your own research and choices to make there. I'm sure I'll talk more about meditation in the future. I have wonderful techniques that are good and starter. But that's, we're already running long in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and try to push through and finish up here. But meditation is another way. If we meditate and we focus our mind and we get our mind to that state where it is relaxed, it becomes more pliable, and we can find a way to alter our beliefs without the activeness of our mind trying to fight back so hard. And so one of the advantages of this is that we can actually, like, it's kind of like, different modes on an electronic device. You got the clock programming mode, and you got the clock running mode, and you got the programming and the alarm mode, right? Like, it's our brain is in a lot of ways similar to that. It's in go function mode. It's just running. Or maybe it's in programming mode, something like these theta waves, where we're in a deeply altered, relaxed state where things aren't fighting back so hard. Um, but that's some of the basis for how I get through these things. I also have some other things that are some worldview things, some much heavier topics that maybe we'll get into. Let me know if you want to hear anything about like spiral dynamics or like Myers-Briggs typing. Both of those things actually are significantly influenced by Carl Jung, and I very much like a lot of Jung's work before it got into like Myers-Briggs on that. There's some other people that like Spiral Dynamics is extended work on that as well. But the Spiral Dynamics is interesting. It's another thing that helps me look at the world in a way to set some beliefs in a way to where I don't really take much as personally. I kind of understand where people come from at a wide range. Like this is like personality typing. Like it's just a model for trying to understand people, right? So if we look at this and say the theory says there's 16 personalities, well, I look at those personalities and I try to look around the world, and when I'm interacting with people, I'm trying to categorize them based on what I know about the personality. Now, I may not be able to nail down their whole personality, but I can there's certain things that I can infer and fairly reliably predict about somebody based on understanding whether they're an introvert or an extrovert, based on whether their driving behavior comes out of thinking or feeling, whether they're more inclined to have opinions about the world or they're more inclined to just open-mindedly watch the world. These are different things, and by observing these things about people, and we can often make assumptions about them that are pretty accurate. I'm not going to say that I can look at somebody and I can know everything there is to know about them, but I can get some pretty good generalizations, and a big portion of my generalizations will likely be true. Spiral dynamics is almost like a human development chart. You've got like child development charts where at this age a child should be about here and think and feel this kind of stuff, should be learning these kinds of things. And when they get here, then new concepts won't be too advanced for them. And spiral dynamics is kind of like that. It was originally a theory that was applied to society to try to explain societal growth. A lot of people have extended the work to explain individuals, but the idea is that there's a hierarchy of progression that we go on. And I don't know, spiral dynamics might be a bit advanced. A lot of people reject it out of hand because it makes them feel left out. A lot of times it's taken as hierarchical when that's maybe not the main takeaway from spiral dynamics, but it's easy to go, well, the next level of advancement is something that I fundamentally disagree with, because it's actually kind of interesting. It kind of the way that it goes back and forth. It's almost always that a certain whatever category you fit into, the expected next level category is usually the kind of person that you think very poorly of. Like for example, um, one of the stages would be like a mobster type person, very simplistically laid out. But imagine a mobster, and this kind of correlates to like 3-year-old behavior, 4-year-old behavior, the biting, the I'm willing to hit my friends to take their toys, that kind of thing. Well, that's one level. And then the very next level up from that is a level that's highly associated with honor and duty, community responsibility, and all of those kinds of things. You see a lot of like religion showing up in that stage, but it's soldiers, like the soldier. The good of everyone is why I'm here. Mentality is very much the next level above that. Well, you could see how your average mobster would scoff at the idea that for them to grow as a person, they just got to become a duty bound soldier. That's an insane thing to comprehend. So anybody who is stunted in this mobster 3-year-old land, which can happen by people that were abused and didn't really get love or anything but neglect or abuse beyond that age. So they got to the point where they got to this stage, and instead of continuing to grow like a normal adult, they they were abused and unable to see new perspectives. There was nobody there interested in training them. And that's one of the things that's interesting to me about spiral dynamics is we kind of need somebody to help us get to the next level, because we literally inherently think there's something wrong with the next level. And without being taught to get there, we often don't. And so people have these different places in childhood where they never got taught anything new after that. Nobody reached them after that. They became set in their ways, and then they get stunted at these different levels. And so this is another way that I've changed my beliefs about the world, because I don't really believe that, yes, there are assholes objectively in the world, people that are just mean spirited, but I also don't really assign them to being some horrible person or evil, because my belief system is that they're probably stunted at a low level. They were probably they were probably abused from the time they were roughly the age that correlates with whatever category they end up in. And they get stunted there and they don't learn. And then, because there's nobody to teach them, they grow up, there's no parents, they're an adult, they get to do what they want. There's no reason for them to think they should be like the next person. So imagine being that person who's been abused since you were 3 years old, and you can't fathom the concept of duty and honor, and you're willing to go punch people and take their stuff. You don't understand why duty and honor would matter, because it's really not that hard to live life going, punching people, taking their stuff, and you don't have to work that hard. And they literally just don't have an understanding of how truly immoral and antisocial that is. Um, and so I recommend researching as many models as you can find. Those are a couple of my favorites, the MBTI and spiral dynamics, and maybe we'll talk more about them. I'm afraid of spiral dynamics. It's not taken well by people, because that the next level usually is something you'll scoff at. You literally think the next level is a joke. Um, because like the next level up from this soldier level we were talking about is capitalism, or basically what we would describe as capitalism. And so you go from duty and honor bound soldier to the only thing that matters is getting as rich as humanly possible. It's like the duty bound honor person can't fathom that their life would be about money. They've spent their life dedicated to the community. They've spent their life dedicated to causes that were greater than themselves. And the idea of abandoning that all for selfish gain just seems stupid to them. So it's not it doesn't really matter what your perspective is. The next perspective challenges that. And that's what growth is. That's one of the reasons growth is so hard. So here I am, 40 minutes into the video. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call this good, and I'm gonna let this go. And sorry it ran on, but this is it's a tough subject, but I think it's important, and I think we could all. I think there's probably something I can learn. If you've got tips for this, please leave them in the comments. The more we have to go on, the more we understand, the more we think about these things, the easier it's going to be for us to understand, learn, and apply these concepts for ourselves. So, with that, I am going to call this a video. I am going to go ahead and get out of here. If you made it this far, I think, come on, I deserve a like at least. Or push the other buttons too if you want, or tell me what I've done wrong, or tell me why I am wrong, because I don't know it all. There might be better things out there, better ways to look at this out there, and I'd love to hear those too. So, until next time, goodbye.